Good morning. It's Thursday, May 16th, 2019, and this is my second official morning minutes, I guess I'm calling them, video. So I actually felt really good after yesterday's. You know, as I mentioned there, just the process of talking things through verbally really cements ideas for me and helps me develop them. And it's funny because this is something I totally know. You know, I actually have a thing written up for something to use in the potential future on the development of ideas. And one of those is taking it from the stage of just mulling it around in your head to talking it out verbally. So this is a huge step in the process. And I don't know if it works for everybody, but I know that it does work for me. So I'm going to use it. And you know, just being who I am, I always have these second guessing thoughts in my head, and it's like, well, I'm recording these, what's the point in posting them? But I really think it is valuable for two purposes. One is, for me, it's more of an accountability thing. Like if I say I'm going to post these, I will. It also is, I think a lot of us deal with the same things that I'm dealing with, right? You know, that everybody deals with like every day. And I think talking about them in a way that is less, you know, perfectly written positivity post on Instagram or something like that can really help, because there's a difference between like that outward, what we put out there, and what's spinning around our head. So when you're just trying to capture something raw out of your head that's kind of unscripted, you didn't think about it first, and you're just talking from the heart and from the head, I think more people should do that. And it's definitely intimidating, and I worry about, oh, what are people gonna say? What are people gonna think? As I've mentioned in a previous video, especially people who I know in real life, that for some reason that makes me more nervous than a total stranger on the internet. So what I wanted to kind of muse over today is, you know, obviously the original purpose of this channel is to document my weight loss journey and how that's going and what I'm doing. And I as I said, I've been in this a little bit of a sticking point where I haven't lost weight in a while, and I really need to get things moving again. Even a little bit has creeped back up. Not definitely far from where I started, but you know, just have to get my brain engaged again, because I was doing really well for a really long time. And I kind of wanted to think over all the things that in my head I've been thinking, like, this is what I need to do to get back on track, and kind of work through that. So I know it's a couple faceted piece of a puzzle, like some puzzle pieces here. You know, one is getting back into a routine that encourages mindfulness and intention. And that sounds pretty vague, but it goes from, you know, just letting your day flow without putting any thought into it. And when that happens, you have much more opportunities to just slip into what your subconscious is telling you should do, which of course your subconscious and that, or your brain, is like what's fueling different addictions and bad habits and compulsions. And I don't want to give into compulsions and bad habits and things like that. So, and for me, routines help with that. Routines as well as practices. So certain things that I do on a everyday basis or weekly basis and things like that, that encourage mindfulness, because mindfulness is definitely a habit. And just like most habits, the more you do them, the more they become the routine that you do automatically. And I've actually been really good at it in the past, and I'm still good at it in a general sense, but it just really hasn't been dialed in like it needs to be. The other piece is, so before I got really successful with losing weight, I mentioned that I kind of got into studying, researching, looking into some of the principles of OA, Overeaters Anonymous. And, you know, one of the things that they did that I went through this process was like writing up exactly what it meant to be abstinent. Now, that word doesn't necessarily resonate with me really well, but So like, what does it look like when you are eating the way you should or want to be eating? And it's not like, for me, it's not like super structured rules, you know, this, none of this food, none of this, but it's a more broader thing. So that's something else I want to redo. It's probably gonna be similar to what I came up with before, but I want to go through that process again because I found it really helpful, so that when you're, you know, making a decision, you can say like, does this fit in with this? So I want to do that. The other thing is just, you know, being sure that I have a regular way of making sure I have the foods that I want to be eating in the house. That's pretty easy, but there's, you know, a few things that I need to like order and stuff like that. So I'm going to do that. The other piece is continuing my activity through play piece, which I started to talk about in another one. And that includes some dance, and I'm going to learn how to do some hooping and weird stuff like that. Sounds kind of silly saying it, but you know, I've been jump roping and do some backyard games with my kid, and just things that are fun and that are exercise. Oh, and the yoga trapeze, work on that some more too, to get comfortable in that, because that's just a blast to play with. And then the other piece is more your brain. I mean, we talked about the mindfulness piece, but there's just a lot of, I think I said it in yesterday's videos, which is about working out my shit. And I had a realization that working out my stuff isn't so much about myself. I mean, it's about myself, but I realized like one of the biggest things that I have a hard time with is when there's a conflict with other people, whether real or imaginary. But when you're in a situation with other people and you've done things to fix them in the way that that I know how to fix them, because I tend to be kind of a diplomat of a person. I'm a fixer. I'm a buffer when two different people aren't getting along. And when I use all the tools that usually work for that, and the person is just not receptive, they are not open-hearted, they are not open-minded, they are just completely closed off, and in some cases flat out cruel, that triggers an anger in me, and a frustration more than probably anything else, where it's like, me and all these other people are doing the right thing here. Why won't this person or people just come around and do the right thing too? Because when both parties try to do the right thing and they're authentic about it, there'll be change. And there's at least two situations like that right now where I just feel kind of helpless. And in one of them, you know, the anger and frustration part of it even got the I don't know if it's got the best of me, but you know, I needed kind of an outlet to vent on it. And I don't know if I don't really regret it, but I know it's not the best thing to do. So I need to figure out a way to deal with situations like that within myself and within my own head, where I find some kind of peace or resolution with the situation when the other party has no interest in peace or resolution, and they're just going to continue to be kind of a crappy, closed off, cruel, negative person. Because I don't like any, those are like my least favorite things ever. And see, I can feel it right now. Like, I just hate it when people choose cruelty and hate. And it's so frustrating when people refuse to be decent people. But it is what it is. So as you can see, this kind of bubbling up within me. It's a huge sore spot for me. And I need to figure out a way to work through those situations so that that's mind clutter is just out of here. You know, I was going to make a video about it, but, you know, we did have final sentencing in the court case with my ex-husband. So I'll make a video about that another time, a more serious one. But now that it's not like it's gone, but that huge piece of mental clutter is out of the way, for the most part. So I have like, now I have these other things and I'm like, okay, you can really kind of give some time and space to these things, whether, and if you can't resolve them because the other person isn't willing to work, then you need to figure out how to let them go. So that's the plan. And this went a lot longer than I wanted it to, but I guess that's what I needed. So off to work.